Global warming is changing the winter sports. Federations need to find new ways to invest because the investment from outside are decreasing. This is our work, and welcome everybody. So the Workout in Family concept is a membership club feasibility study that's going to help the federation to generate new revenues. But first of all, let me introduce you my team. So we have Samira from Afghanistan, Shreyas from India, Gabor from Hungary, and myself, Carlotta from Italy. So before starting, let's go through a brief introduction and a brief summary of what we're going to cover. So we have an introduction just for you to be with us. Then we go into the membership study with survey and feasibility. Then we start talking about the OTT platforms to go into how we turn the membership study and the OTT platform into a design, to then go into an action plan and arrive to a conclusion. So we focused on two main areas, the OTT and studying what our clients wanted. So the OTT was developed in the following way. We start with research to understand what was around us, and then we start narrowing down the possible choices for the federation, and we arrive to the best fit. And then, in the meantime, we did the membership study. So we started doing some benchmarking on other membership club, and then we used the survey to understand what the population wanted, and then we structured the membership plan. So first of all, the survey. So to our survey, we had 306 responses in a relatively short period of time, which was just 1 month, and they were covered 4 continents. So to understand how we use this, first of all, let's see how we analyze the data. We divided the responses into 6 main regions, which you can see on the screen behind me. On this, the particular interest is on North America for sure, because it's where Canada is, which is the region and the country with the higher number of participants and people interested in the sport. And then we go to Europe, which was divided into 3 main regions, as you can see, which are Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Scandinavia. The reason behind this is because Western Europe is where the sport is already known, and so people are already aware of curling. Eastern Europe was because it's smaller countries with a little interest in the sport but can be exploited. And then Scandinavia is because the countries there are more into winter sport than the rest of Europe. Here on the screen you cannot see South America, even if we got 3 responses from there, but they were too little to make a study case on that. Then, what are the main findings and takeaway from this? So, first of all, community and family is key from curling fans. They think that curling is a social sport, is a way to get together with friends. And for this reason, it's also one of the main ways people get to know the sport. So the survey showed that people get in touch with curling into 2 main ways. First one, of course, is the Olympics, but then the second one is through family and friends. So we think this is a really important point. Second of all, the price range preference that we found out, doesn't really give us a range, but rather different preferences. As you can see, it's well spread between different prices. In particular, this is true in North America, and as we said, this is the most interesting region. So for this reason, we opted for a 3-tier membership plan, which is going to allow to have the highest number of participants. Lastly, streaming is priority. So the population wants to see live content and archived content. And for this reason, we decided to dive into the OTT panorama and to include it into the membership plan. All the activities listed are going to be part of it, apart from the virtual contents in game, because those are not important. So since OTT is this important, let's go through it with Gabor and see what we found out about it.
Thank you, Carlotta. So what is an OTT? So basically it's an online media service directly offered to consumers who are, in our case, sports fans. And OTT bypasses cable, broadcast, and satellite television. So it's used to live stream events and watch archived video content. But why of an interest for such a federation to have their own OTT platform? So as of today, they have their content on YouTube, where they have more than 77,000 subscribers with 23 million views. But due to music rights, they are not able to monetize their content. And by moving their content to their bespoke OTT platform, they would have the opportunity and the possibility to monetize their content, generate revenue, and ultimately to create a stronger fan base. And in terms of the current landscape, there are many big players who are heavily investing in creating and maintaining their OTT platform, such as Disney Plus, HBO Go, and one of the biggest one is Netflix and Amazon. And in the sports world, there is NBA, NHL, NFL, FIFA, EPCR, who are also spending millions or tens of millions of dollars in creating content and monetizing it. And in terms of the global sports streaming rights, according to PwC, last year it was $48 billion, which might be higher than normal due to the COVID global pandemic. And according to their projection, within the next 3 years, it will be about $85 billion, meaning there is a huge market out there, and World Curling Federation would have the opportunity to get a smaller size of this big cake. And when we were looking at companies offering OTT solutions, we came down to these two, StreamAMG and Vimeo OTT, having criteria in mind, such as to be able to live stream events, watch archive video content, to be able to easily set up the platform so you don't have to hold a master's degree in sports in computer science from EPFL, to have a dedicated support team, which in case during live events and watching these on-demand video content, the fans could turn to someone and their problems would be immediately resolved. To have a payment system in place, and last but not least, one of the most important one was price. And our recommendation is Vimeo, as they were fulfilling all of these criteria. It's really easy to schedule your future events, really easy to organize your archived video content. There is a payment system in place where you can set up multiple currencies, and it's possible to view it on any device. And last but not least, it's coming with an affordable price. And with that being said, I now would like to pass the floor to Shreyas.
Thank you, Gabor. So, as Carlotta mentioned, we're proposing a 3-tier membership plan. And the idea is that we want to have a maximum capture for all members. And also, we believe through the base, premium, and premium plus plan, we're offering value to each and every one. Again, like we mentioned with Carlotta, from our survey, we asked how much would they be willing to pay on a monthly basis. And it was €5 per month, or in the base plan, €60 per year. Similarly, €10 per month becomes €120 per year. And the premium plus from €15 a month becomes €180 a year. Now, from a revenue perspective, it makes sense for the federation to build on an annual system rather than a monthly system. And like we covered with Gabor, that there's an increasing usage in terms of OTT, and also one of the highest ranked benefits from our survey in terms of activities was online content. So we wanted to start with the base and simply give them access to online content, that is OTT in terms of live streaming of games, archive content, and documentaries. In terms of the premium plan, the idea is to give them access to, in addition to online content, give them access to community get-togethers and volunteering opportunities. And this is leveraging on the fact that curling as a sport is very community-based. And finally, our flagship, which is the Premium Plus, in addition to the previous two benefits, we also have discounts on merchandise as well as discounts on the World Curling Academy. Now, to give you an idea in terms of how much a regular OTT subscription costs, take, for example, Netflix in Switzerland, it ranges per month between 12 and 22 francs. Finally, in terms of feasibility, what you see on the left is costs in terms of a pie chart. And on the right, you see a revenue estimation exercise in terms of a break-even analysis in the table. Now, in terms of costs, The majority of our IT requirements is split between OTT and the website. OTT is obviously the cost associated to migrating to the OTT platform, and the website, which will basically house the World Curling family. It can have the login and the database for the members, where they can see their details, their benefits, and obviously renew their plans year on year. Now, in terms of these costs, we're taking a worst case scenario where the total cost is approximately 220,000 euros for the first year in terms of setting it up and then maintaining it. Now, if we're doing this in terms of a absolute worst case scenario, if we only consider base plan members, which is at 60 euros a year, and if we divide that 220,000 by 60, we get approximately 3,600 members, which are required to break even in the very first year itself. Now, if we compare that to the YouTuber subscriber base, as of 30th May, it's only 5%, which was a little more than 70,000 subscribers. Today, after 4 weeks, there are about 77, 78,000 subscribers. So, fair to say, breaking even is very, very much achievable in the first year itself. Now, how does the Federation translate that into action? We have a four-step basis, the pilot phase being first, a pre-launch, then the soft launch, and then finally running up to the Winter Olympics. In terms of the pilot phase, they can test and trial it in popular regions like we mentioned before, North America, Western Europe and Scandinavia, and also Asia in terms of China and Japan. And the idea is to collect feedback from this existing curling community where they already have access to infrastructure, they're already active. And if the Federation can create a feedback mechanism to collect and gauge responses, then they can build and explore and expand on further benefits. So, how does the Federation do that? One, they need to create awareness. Two, they need to build hype. They already have a significant following on social media. At the same time, they also have a large database, so they can talk about the news and the announcement of this World Curling family through this, and they can tease it. And obviously, to supplement the large YouTuber subscriber base, even online content can be made in terms of building up the hype for the announcement of this family. In terms of the soft launch, our focus is youth. So if you capture the interest and attention of young people, probably they'll be fans for life. And to foster their competitive spirit, we can have youth tournaments. We can even partner with schools to make it a part of the curriculum. And even we, as part of AISTS, we got to experience curling. And even though we had slips and falls, we still had a blast. And finally, branded merchandise. So it's always nice to show love for your sport. We've been seeing flags and jerseys thanks to Euro 2020. And I was supposed to say Switzerland had a good run, but congratulations to Switzerland for one of the best matches in Euro 2020, beating the 2018 World Cup champions. And we're suggesting the same thing for this family. We believe that every member should have a welcome pack where they have, a T-shirt, a beanie, maybe a mug to show their love for the support, to show the love for the sport, and also be part of that community. And then finally, running up to the Olympics. So in terms of a timeline, we're trying to work backwards. So if the Winter Olympics in Beijing is coming up in a little more than 7 months in February, ideally 2 months before is when they should have the soft launch. 3 months before that, which is the last quarter of 2021, they can have the pre-launch. And then a month before that, they can start the pilot. However, obviously that seems a little too soon, but they can still build a foundation, figure out the kinks, do their testing, and then obviously working up to Milano Cortina in 2026 is where they can really go big and go home. And finally, to conclude, we have Samira.
Thank you. Well, to summarize, we know streaming content is the most valued benefit in the membership plan according to the responses we receive. And at the same time, it's the most expensive and costly part. But as we mentioned earlier, it's the IF's priority. And luckily, because since the demanded content and activities already exist, so the cost is minimal. And also, we believe by including the OTT as part of a membership plan, there will be synergies in revenue stream and potential and also recovering costs. Lastly, and finally, because of the moment we live in, the virtual life, the digitized era, there will be greater demand in digital content. And the good news is, by the upcoming Winter Olympic Games in Beijing 2022, the momentum is with us. And we believe the word calling family concept can be a great success. Last but not the least, we take this opportunity to thank both our esteemed client, Word Calling Federation, and specifically Mr. Colin Graham, and also the AISTS for providing us this opportunity to work on this project, and specifically Mr. Michael Bradley. He helped a lot. So yeah, we thank you everybody for your time and attention. And now the floor is open for your comments and questions. Thank you.